ladies and gentlemen, this is part 2, because evidently the Batman thing ended up being 24 minutes, give or take, and I'm pretty sure you guys don't want to be watching 50 minutes of the same sort of thing over and over again. So I'm going to be playing as Superman, while I switch suits, just so that we can keep things interesting. But yeah, like Batman, Superman is one of those characters that is a legacy character, so a lot of his things are very similar to how it was in the last game, but they have taken some more interesting turns with Superman than anything else. So, first off, Superman has a 6-frame down 3? Holy shit, that is insane. That is insanely fast. Oh yeah, Kryptonian Grab we'll have to talk about later. Cross swipe, God's Fist, Heavy Hook. I don't think any of these buttons have changed besides his throw, so yeah, he still has all of his other buttons, so. No Hope Smash. Guy, come on! Yeah, so there's nothing to write home about for basic attacks that have changed. It's just normal attacks. So first up, it's more brutal, and it basically puts Superman back at neutral range, if not slightly closer. So he's not getting free throw loops or anything, but in the last game his throw gave him more distance, so this throw leaves him closer. Next up, we got to talk about his combo attacks, which have basically not changed except for one, which has become 2. First up, as an addendum, I forgot to mention the premier skins in general mechanics, and the reason for that is that generally premier skins don't affect much. The one thing to keep in mind about Superman is that about premier skins is that they're just different skins for the same character. So I may be playing as Bizarro right now, but ultimately, I'm basically the same as Superman. I have the same trait, I have the same power, but I'm picking up the premier skins bit now just because A, I forgot about it, but B, it seemed like a really good time to talk about something really fun with Bizarro specifically, because unlike most premier skins, he actually kind of has something different going about him, and that is that while his frost vision is basically what you would expect instead of heat vision, it's frost vision. It's the same frame data, but because Bizarro has the opposite powers of Superman in some aspects, he has fire breath. Now, you're not going to get the exact same reaction if you use fire breath as opposed to freeze breath. And while technically the frame advantage the hit advantage is about the same, because the reaction is slightly different, things can get interesting with Bizarro. That's why I wanted to make a quick section just talking about Bizarro. And I'm just gonna and then just have him back up, alright? So he's blocking. Now if I hold up, I actually kind of back up as Batman. So Superman, or Bizarro, if he has to chase me down, I have to actually chase him down a little bit as Bizarro. Not a big deal, but because of that, certain things can miss with Bizarro that wouldn't ordinarily miss with Superman. Now, I'm pretty sure they fixed most of the hurtbox issues with some of the more recent patches, but it used to be that certain attacks would just straight up miss, and you would miss some of your conversions because of the fact that you wait too long. Now they back up and they have a chance to block. You see what I mean? So that's why I just wanted to bring up Bizarro real quick. Back to the rest of the video. Oh, and before I forget, yes, he does have the same super move. So, bit of a shame, but what can you do? First up is the Great Purge. It comes off of, I believe, a 7-frame high. I'm just going to make sure really quick. Oh, it's 9 frames. So if this is his fastest punish at 9 frames, what you would do is... Yeah, okay. So Great Purge is a lot like Batman's 112. it starts off of a 9-frame high, so he's got Shao Kahn buttons, sort of. Can be special canceled, allow for combos, that kind of thing. Then we have Kryptonite Bash, which has an overhead, and I see that he is not blocking, so let me do that really quick. Both of these are not safe on block because this is -7, and that is -9, and there's a 26-frame startup on that, so it's not safe at all to be going for his fastest punishes unless you're going for his down 1, which again is 6 frames and -3. Then we have Last Sun, which is the first string that is safe. This has an overhead at the end, but while it does pop up, it's an MK11 pop-up. You're not getting anything off of this unless the opponent is in the corner. And then, as you can see, you can get combos that way. But you're not getting a 4-2 off, which, if you know anything about Superman from Injustice 1, there's a lot there. Then we have Truth, which comes off of his Kryptonian grab. It's worth noting that normally it's just this. But if you press square like it's a combo string, there we go. Awesome. You can kind of mash it to get it out. It just does a little more damage. And it keeps the opponent in the corner. So it's also really unsafe. It's -19, so you go for this. And then, as you can see, Superman takes a little while to punish, so it's punishable. If he gets Solitude Slam, he will side switch. Think of this kind of like Jax's Gotcha in MK11, but with only a few options. And if he amplifies it, he gets the same damage as Truth, but he gets a pop-up out of the deal. So, I'm not that great at this, but there we go. Just a very basic example. Not the most optimal, but it is something at least. Then we have Justice, which is just the same button off of 4-2. The third hit only comes out on hit, not on block. I don't think it comes out on whiff either. Yeah, it doesn't come out on whiff either. And it's very simple, and it's basically 4-2 and back 1 combined. And both of these laser options are special cancelable. Then we have Champion of the Oppressed. You know this thing. It's the string that Superman players love to repeat. And it helps Superman get some pretty decent damage. Then we have special moves, and these ultimately have not changed all that much, but have gotten some new additions in some forms that are very much appreciated from Injustice 2. So first up, we have Lockdown Launch. This is the old scoop, and as you can see, it knocks the opponent back really, really far, and it doesn't combo. You have to amplify to get a combo, as you can see there. So if you do Lockdown off of, say, this, you can get some really nice damage. And speaking of Heat Vision, let's see Heat Vision. Both perform well in the air and on the ground, the same Heat Vision people are terrified of. And indeed, it still has its overhead properties. However, it's worth noting that I don't think it's quite as safe as it used to be. If I just have a quick look, Heat Vision is -28. Oh, it's +11 still. So he can keep himself safe by going for the Amplify, leaving him at +11. That's crazy talk, man. Then there's Rising Grab, which is just like before. Anti-air, you throw the opponent down, good combo ender. And the window of opportunity to use Heat Vision has been widened, so it's a little easier. And you can amplify it this time. I think you weren't able to do amplify the Heat Vision in Injustice 1, but I might be wrong there. And as you can see, you just amplify it, for a little more damage. So, and indeed, hang on, I have to match it a little bit. There we go. There you go, a 2-bar ender that does nice damage. Then there's Super Breath. Same thing as before. You can continue to use Super Breath in order to keep yourself relatively safe, because it's -1. And if you amplify it, you get a little more pushback. But also, you get to freeze the opponent. So let's say... Look at that damage. That's almost 30% on Batman. And then there's Air Flying Smash, which is the same as before. It's an overhead. You use it in order to end your combos. If you amplify it, you slam the opponent down. But this time, you can choose to throw them behind you. So let's say hypothetically that Superman is cornered for whatever reason. Oh, I can't roll into the corner? Fine. Let's say he's cornered. And I'm using Mortal Kombat 11 amplifies. This is the problem with switching fighting games. Give me a minute. Now he can do an instant air flying ground smash and switch the position, so now he has control of the corner. Then we have Flying Punch, which is nothing to write home about. It is a high now instead of it being a mid like it used to be both in Injustice 1 and in Vanilla Injustice 2. And you have to amplify it to keep yourself safe. -6 with all this pushback. But it also acts as a pretty good knockback. But here's the problem, right? Both of those hits are overhead. So if you're not careful, Superman will clobber you with this. So just be careful with that. And then we have Heat Zap, which is a big blast of heat of laser energy that is +9 on blocks. So but it's not quite as, I don't think it's quite as plus as it was in Injustice 1, because there's definitely seems to be a gap where you can duck down in order to get away, because Superman was ridiculous in Injustice 1, so they kind of had to fix him, but they still made him evil. Whatever. Then there's dash forward and dash away in the air. He has his air dashes, allows him for superior aerial mobility. You get the idea. It's Superman. Of course he can have an air dash. And then there is his trait, giving him a damage buff to all attacks and breaks armor. The main difference you'll want to know about with this trait is that you can still get your cancels and shenanigans, and you're still doing more damage. Oh, before I forget, he still has his advancing pseudo sweep, which is kind of funny. I just want to see if I have anything that does 50 damage or so. I'm just trying to think here. That's close enough. Okay, so it looks to increase damage by about 25%, approximately. So it's about the same for damage. So let's say you do this. Try this again. There we go. But the nice thing is that this time the trait builds up in the bottom, and you can see how long it takes before you have this trait again. It's no long. While I prefer the style of Injustice 1's UI, I really do appreciate the normalization of just being able to actually see how long I have on trait, how long it'll take to recover, that kind of thing. A lot of traits have this. Batman has his. It's just segmented off into each of his little bats. Finally, we have his super move, Final Flight. -6 on block, 6 frames of startup. This thing is ridiculously fast. One of the fastest supers in the game, in fact. If you want to know what the fastest super in the game is, I will mention it later. But unlike Batman, Superman's is a lot better in 2 respects. One, it's actually safe, -6, and also, it's 6 frames on startup. it's a lot faster, which means at point-blank range, outside of the screen freeze, you're not reacting to this thing. So just a stray hit on a Superman looking to close out the fight is definitely going to do the trick. But here's the thing. Superman's basically going to get the same amount of damage. Yeah, see, it ends in... So it's like 40s and then it ends in 106 normally. But to land it, it's 47.41. So he loses his damage buff if he goes into this. I don't think... I think outside of, like, Bane, there is no character that keeps their buff during the super. Which kind of sucks, but that's just because of cinematic events. Now we're going to wrap up this video by not just the super move, but by talking about the stages themselves. Because I don't think I did this for MK11. I'll probably set up a separate video just talking about the stages in this game. But as of Injustice 1, stages themselves are some of the most dangerous weapons in the game. And with Superman and Batman here, we have perfect examples of power characters, of the power versus gadget dynamic. There's also no more acrobat characters. So characters like the Flash, and if Killer Frost was in this game, they'll all have explosives. So acrobat and gadget basically fused. So let's start with these barrels in the corner. Unblockable if used by power characters, and there's a secondary low of cryogenic fluid that if the opponent is hit by, I'm on the wrong side of the stage. I used to do this. There we go. Bam! As you can see, you get a lot of damage. And the thing is that because of how it works, you basically get free combo damage because the ice doesn't scale. So... Wait, did that just do more damage? 15.74? 12. Oh, and I guess if characters have damage buffs, the ice also gets a damage buff? So now that's, what, 516? That's not quite double, that's not quite 50% health, but that's still painful. If you're a gadget character, though, you're not going to be throwing the bucket, per se. Instead, you're going to be... how do I switch sides here? There we go. You'll get this. A blast of freezing gas. And this will freeze the opponent. However, there is damage scaling, which is kind of interesting. However, if I were the Superman, I then don't gain the ability to throw that barrel. So it's a one-use option. Now let's move on to the next. Let's move on to the next interactable, which is not that far away. Default center. Oh, what? Oh, that's wait, huh? Oh, I see what's going on here. All right. So next up is the crane, and this crane is used in a couple of different ways. As a power character, I get a big ol' mid smashy, so I can do that and get combos off of it, potentially. Except I have to probably dash in a little bit. Or... there we go. And it can be used multiple times, so... as you can see, a very helpful way to keep your combos doing more damage. When gadget characters use it, however, things kind of get interesting. They don't use it in the same way. They ride the crane. It becomes a high instead of a mid, so you can duck it, but they use it as an advancing option. So, yes, they can hit it, but look at where they end up. They end up right next to the next interactable. So instead of... let's knock this guy back. Instead of hitting him, I move around. And in Injustice, there's no stamina meter, so you can basically use these interactables as long as their cooldown is done. Whee! And then back up, and then whee! Next up is this power cell. gadget characters can cause it to explode to launch, so you could do something like 4-2, and then that in order to get some combo damage. As a power character, you don't get that opportunity. You pick it up and smash it. It's unblockable, but it's a little bit slow. There aren't too many of these unblockable interactions, and it doesn't do that crazy amount of damage. See, that's 125, and that's 138. So it's doing approximately 10% damage, or 10 base damage, I should say. Now let's move all the way to the left to have this computer screen. You can throw it as a power character, and that also disables it for the gadget character, who can use it multiple times to summon the little bomb boy in order to keep themselves safe. And I'm pretty sure that Batman can actually combo into this thing. I'm gonna have to wait a little. It takes a little while for it to regen, but you can see it pops up. I guess not. Okay, let's do a stage transition. Alright. Now we get to really have some fun. Fun fact, normally Superman is imprisoned in the red sun cage over here. But because Superman is being played, he's gone. Oh, and I'm probably gonna have to talk about Premier skins as well. So I'll socket that in at the beginning. I'll socket that in before we get into combo strings. Next, we have Superman, who picks up and smashes overhead with that cannon. However, Batman will activate it as a low in order to knock the opponent back. If we move on to the computers, you can use them. You can use both of these as advancers, or use them to explode to make combos happen. You can probably imagine what would happen if Superman got his hands on these computers instead. Yep, they become basically mid-projectiles that do pretty good damage. And I believe the final interactable is way on the right, so yeah, I'm right. So, first off, power characters will pick up and smash this. Of course, it can be interrupted. So let's say I'm controlling Batman and I have Superman go for this. Oh, really? Guess it's just a normal jump then. See, if he goes for it normally, I can interrupt. So, I don't even have to be particularly quick. I can just interrupt with that if I really wanted to. Or if I see it coming, I can even armor through it. So you can use armor, you can use you can use armor, or you can interrupt on slower interactables like that one. So yeah, it's unblockable, but you have to understand that it's slower than it is in Injustice 1, so thankfully. Now, here's the thing. If I were to spend some meter, I can meter burn the interactable to get some armor. Which makes sense. You spend the bar to get some armor to guarantee the interactable. And of course, there's the stage transition. Oh, I forgot to show what happens if a power character were to use this thing. Hold on. It's a corner escape. And of course, you can blow it up if the opponent is too close, if you're a gadget character, as you can see. But now, let's finish this up with a stage transition, and that'll be the end of this video. So, don't forget to be awesome, my friends. I'll see you guys on the other side, and let me know if you're excited for the Watchtower Showcase.